Welcome to Astro Talk, Traditional Astrology, today with a very special guest from Munich, Dr. David Juste. Greetings.
Thank you for having me.
Very well. Um, First things first, copyright. I only have the right to publish our discussion today uncut and unedited on freely accessible video platforms or homepages. My guest, Dr. David Juste, has the right to shorten, edit, or add to the MP4 files, which I will send to him via WeTransfer after the conversation, as he wishes, and to publish on its websites and video platforms according to his liking and wherever you can do whatever you like to do with the
Very
MP3
good.
material.
I agree with this.
Okay, very good. So, our guest, Dr. David Juste, is a distinguished historian of medieval and Renaissance astrology with a strong academic focus on Latin astrological manuscripts. He is co-founder and research leader of the Ptolemaeus Arabus et Latinus project at the Bayerische Akademie der Wissenschaften in Munich and is recognized internationally for his scholarly contributions. He works on cataloging and analyzing medieval astrological manuscripts. He has published 3 volumes of the Catalogus Codicum Astrologorum Latinorum, CCAL, which document Latin astrological manuscripts, including those preserved in the Bavarian State Library in Munich and the Bibliothèque nationale de France in Paris. And now we go to his life. First question. In one of the videos, which the viewers can find on our channel on YouTube, I have a playlist, and it's called Dr. David Juste. In one of those videos, you mentioned that before you became an academic, you have been an astrologer. Is that right?
Yes. Is that so surprising?
No, it's just I didn't know that. I had to watch the video, and it was a very short thing you said, and you are in the tradition of Dorian Gisela Greenbaum, Elena Avila, Luis Ribeiro, and other people who are in connection with the Warburg Institute who have been practicing astrology before they had a stellar academic career. First question, when were you born, in what year? You don't have to give the date.
I was born in Belgium in 1969.
In 1969. Okay. Now, then you went to school there, I suppose, in
Yes,
Belgium.
that's right.
And when did you finish high school or gymnasium? What is it in Belgium? Is it high school or gymnasium?
It's yeah, secondary school.
Secondary school, okay.
Yeah. So I finished when I was 20 instead of 18 because I was a very bad student.
Okay, so in this time period, 1969 to 1989, did you come across the term astrology or the word astrology in those days? Did you have anything to do
Yeah.
with astrology in those days? And what was
Yeah.
it?
Actually, my mother taught me astrology when I was 15.
Oh, no, no, okay, I didn't know that. So why did your mother know a lot about astrology?
Well, I don't know the reason, but the fact is that she had been practicing for quite a while when she taught me.
It's getting more intriguing. You mean having clients?
No, she never did it professionally, and I did not do that either. So I did it only for actually I did it for free, but not only for friends, for
Yeah,
anyone who
yeah,
wanted.
yeah, okay.
And oh, excuse me. Um, yes, so yes, I started when I was 15 and I was completely blown away by it.
What sort of astrology did your mother know and practice? Because we have different traditions. We have the
Yes, of
psychological
course.
Jungian approach, we have the traditional
Yeah.
approach, and we have Moranus approach and Lilly approach, so you can choose. What did she choose?
So she practiced only so-called psychological astrology, so like
Okay.
Dane Rudyard, Alexander Ruperti, Charles
Yes,
Vouga, and
yes.
so on.
And that's what you learned as well.
And this is what I learned as well. But one peculiarity is that she practiced sidereal astrology, and so did I.
Sidereal, you mean the Indian approach?
Well, if you want to call it Indian, I think it was first of all Hellenistic or even Babylonian. But yes, that's correct.
Okay, we will not go into that topic because I know of a dissertation project which is very secret, a dissertation in the university, and you will be debunked by this dissertation with the saying that the Sidereal comes from Babylon and Mesopotamia. That is a topic for in 3 years we will talk about that again. Now
Okay.
back to your career. Um, in 1989, you had the secondary education finished. Did you go straight to the University Libre de Bruxelles?
Yes.
And you did a Bachelor of Arts. Anything important to report about that time?
Um, well, well, I don't know, but I devoted my BA thesis to medieval astrology.
You mean you could in your college, in your Bachelor of Arts college, you could focus on astrology?
No, I couldn't. So the topic was officially refused by the head of department, but I
Okay,
decided to do it anyway. This is so yes,
okay.
I decided to did it to do it. I wrote this BA thesis in secret, and one day I submitted, but when I submitted, I thought that it would not be accepted and that I would not have my degree.
What was the title of your BA paper?
It was in French. It was, I wanted to survey all sources regarding early medieval astrology, that is before the period of the Arabic Latin translations.
Oh, we are closing in on your dissertation theme.
Yeah, it's not that far, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And what happened? You put it to the administration. This is my BA paper. I want to pass the exam. What did they say?
I don't know because I left the thesis somewhere. I didn't speak to someone. And
Okay.
then I realized that the same person who had refused the topic opened it and decided that there would be a viva and that we would proceed with normal examination.
Oh, he was okay with the thesis then.
Well, he actually he realized. I'm just saying what he told me later because I still see him now. He said that that was an excellent work and he could not dismiss it.
Ah, okay. So that is a very interesting story. That is an anecdote to retell your children and grandchildren.
That's right. Actually, in the end, I got the best BA thesis of the whole department that year.
So you are starting to be a stellar researcher already on your BA level. Okay, that's interesting. Now, in 1995, you did something I do not really quite understand. It looks like agrégation at the
Yes,
Université Libre de Bruxelles and did something like a high-class teacher training to teach other people. Is it for secondary school education that you did this, or did you want to become
correct.
you wanted to become a teacher?
No, no, no. I didn't want to become a teacher. I did that to escape military service.
Okay, I understand that. We don't have to dig into that one. In 1996, the Master of Arts in Harvard University. How did you get there? Who financed your stay in Harvard and the whole story? It's not for everybody to get into Harvard and to do
No, well,
an
look, I
MA
think
there.
I don't know exactly what happened. There was a professor of Arabic in Brussels who was also a historian of science, and we had become good friends as I was finishing my BA. He was not in my department, so he had nothing to do or to say about my BA thesis. But he said, "What you do belongs to the history of science. You need to go to the US because in Brussels there will be nothing for you." And I said, that's a good idea. And he made suggestions as to how to proceed. I did that and I applied to with actually two and a half universities. And I got accepted in two. Well, the third one, I wanted to go to Brown University to
Oh,
do
to David Pingree.
David Pingree.
Yeah, okay.
And I wrote to him, and he replied in a very, very nice letter that he takes only one student per year, and he had already his student for the following year. So I did not apply to Brown, and I didn't want to wait another year. So I decided to apply to Harvard and also to Madison, Wisconsin.
And you got both okays?
Yes, I got both. Yeah.
Well, it's not easy. It's not difficult to understand why you choose Harvard, I would suggest, or was it?
No, actually, I was very naive at the time. I wasn't sure. I didn't know Harvard very, very well, even its reputation. But I had surveyed like 15 or 20 universities that offered a program in history of science.
Hmm.
And at Harvard, there were three people who dealt primarily with medieval science. So I said, I must apply to that one.
Okay. Coming back to David Pinker, you mentioned in one sentence that he only takes one student per year. In a podcast of the Astra project about Otto Neugebauer and David Pinker, it was mentioned in Brown University, the whole student body was one or two students in the university. Did you understand this? Because I don't. How can a professor have one or two students and that's all the
Well,
faculty
simply
has?
because I think generally speaking in the US things work differently. And I don't know how it did that exactly, but
Yeah, okay.
no, it doesn't come as a surprise to me.
Okay. So back to Harvard, by boat or by plane, I suppose. You went to the
Yeah, by plane, yes, I flew there.
and this is the town is called Cambridge, right?
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
Boston. No, it's Boston.
Well, actually, you look, Cambridge is one of the, I don't know, districts of Boston.
Of
It's
Boston,
three
of
tube
Massachusetts.
stations
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Boston Central. So it's not really out of Boston.
So take us step by step because some people might be interested in how this works to get to Harvard. You come to the airport. Did somebody pick you up?
Yes, actually, someone picked me up because I had what do they call that? A host family.
Oh,
Uh,
you didn't live in the on the college campus. You were living with a private
no,
family.
no, that was only like a volunteer family who takes care of one student, foreign student, in case there are problems or whatever. But actually, I stayed on campus.
And you had a typical student room in a dorm of campus.
That's right. Yes.
How was the campus dorm organized? I have watched some series about the studies in America and New
Are you
York
sure
City.
you want to go there?
No, no, I don't. Just a little bit. It's a dorm. How many stories? 15
Well,
stories?
in my dorm, that was, I remember the name called Perkins Hall.
Okay.
There were four floors.
4 floors. And how many I was an exchange student to Philadelphia as a law student, and I was living in the dorm of the international student, and this was a high-rising building, and you had 4 stories, and if I remember this film movies Hollywood series. There's a lot of people on this floor, and there is one main advisor who cares, who is older and who takes care of the problems. Is that the same structure you experienced?
No, I don't think so. But I sort of remember that one of the students was responsible for the floor and
Oh,
for
okay.
circulating information or that
A-
kind of
And
things.
how did you avoid to get drunk every night?
Well, no, I don't know. I didn't have that problem, but what I remember from my year at Harvard is that I had to work like crazy
Okay.
all the time. So we did get drunk, but
Okay.
certainly not every night. And I
Okay.
don't know anyone who did, at least among the postgrads, because
Yeah.
I
Okay.
was not with the undergrads, right?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
was, yeah.
So your MA was 1 year studies. What sort of studies? Did you have seminars, lectures? What did you
That's
experience?
right. I think it's the normal American program. So I had seminars. Uh,
What topics were taught?
well, actually, I had altogether 2 semesters, 8 courses.
Okay.
So there was a general seminar of history and philosophy of science. I had a course with Bill Newman that was called The Occult Sciences, Astrology, Alchemy, and Magic. That was absolutely fantastic.
So you are bordering on the same question with the Professor Burnett yesterday. Did you become a magician?
No, no, but even Bill Newman was not.
Oh, okay, okay. Did they teach Agrippa of Nettesheim in this course?
Sorry?
Did they teach Agrippa of Nettesheim in the magic part of the
Oh,
course?
it was certainly mentioned by Bill Newman. Yeah, yeah. I
How
can't
how
remember now,
how
but
about the Picatrix?
oh yes, of course, yeah.
Did you read the whole Picatrix in that course?
No, 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 no. I don't think so. It was not in the course reader. I don't think so.
Ah, okay.
But I
What
mean,
what else courses? Some other titles.
well, I had a course on ancient science by John Murdoch.
Okay.
Also by John Murdoch, the making of a critical edition of scientific Latin scientific texts.
So basically,
Um,
you laid the foundation for what you are today. The leading researcher of the Munich project that started there.
Actually, I would say it started with my BA thesis.
Oh, okay, already. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So basically, yes, we don't have to go into every detail of your MA. It's only 1 year. Was there a written exam or oral exam or both?
No, they were only essays.
Okay.
I had one exam with on occult science and also an essay to write. Yeah,
And
but I got zero in that exam because my English was not good enough
oh, okay,
to answer difficult questions in 3 hours, and it
okay,
was it was already hard for everyone. When I read the questions, I left the classroom immediately. But
okay,
because my essay had been very good, according to Bill Newman,
okay.
he gave me A anyway. So
So you left Howard with an A?
that's right. Yes,
Your degree in Master of Arts is an A.
that's right. Yes.
Great. How does the certificate look like? What does it say? David Juste passed the Master of Arts education in Harvard, and he got the degree in what? What's the title of the degree?
It's history of science.
Just history of science.
Yes, because Harvard does it differently from most American universities.
Okay.
It's not history and philosophy of science, it
Okay.
is history of science.
And then you flew back to Brussels.
Yes, that's right. After other, like, I was meant to do my PhD in Bloomington, Indiana, because this is where Bill Newman was going and he wanted me to go with him. But at the last minute, I decided to go back to Brussels because in the meantime, I had been granted a 4 years scholarship to do my PhD in Brussels. So I chose that option.
Understandable. And then you did something very special. And now, could you elaborate on your PhD? You wanted to research the first document which influenced the Latin West. Is that correct, what I said?
Well, in the field of astrology,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
So
Um,
how did that come about? Who inspired you to have this
well,
rather
simply
specific?
because at the time of my BA thesis, I realized that some people were talking about a group of texts that were unpublished, unstudied, and that apparently dated from the 10th century and that contained many Arabic words, and they were entirely astrological. So I decided to do that for my PhD.
So we are talking about the Alejandriana primitive. Why,
Genau.
why primitive? What is primitive?
Because the Alcandriana are so big, because they cross the entire Middle Ages, changing forms and
Okay.
etc. This is actually the ancestor of the Book of Arcandam, if you happen to know that book.
Okay. So for the readers, for the viewers, they can look up on our homepage, which
Okay.
is with the homepage has the address of astrotalk.vonabisw.de, and our talk today has a special site, and there on this special site we have a lot of information in English. The book is in French, but I used ChatGPT to translate a little bit information here.
But
Um,
where did you find that information?
oh, you have the French. You have this text. You have the French online. This text is online available in French, and copy and paste ChatGPT, and you have it in English.
Okay, very well.
And we could you summarize what you found out in your research? 4 years of research and a lot of paper written. It's 727 pages. It was okay. First question. You managed to get it published by Brill because you had a very good grade for your dissertation, because Brill is very, very specific to publish books.
Yes, actually, it was very easy. I sent, when the book was ready for publication, well, first I had accidents with Brepols. I had to withdraw my book from them. And then I contacted John North, who was the co-director of a collection at Brill at the time. It was sometime in the early 2000 or maybe 2005 or 6. And he liked it immediately and he said, "We are going to publish this book."
Okay.
So after that, it was very easy. It took just 9 months, maybe.
And how would you summarize in a few sentences what is the content of what people can read here?
So this is actually a group of 7 or 8 treatises, maybe altogether 60,000 words. Uh, Part of them were translated or adapted from the Arabic in Catalonia in the 10th century, and the other part are reworkings of the same material by different authors, also in Catalonia in the 10th century. What is, I mean, this is very curious at first sight because, as we know, the Arabic Latin translations really started only in the 11th and especially in the 12th century. So these actually are the first scientific texts that were translated and adapted from Arabic into Latin, the very first one. Now, the content, this is a funny astrology because it is what we could call onomantic astrology. So instead of drawing a chart, a horoscope based on your date, time, and place of birth, it is based on the numerical values of your name.
Okay. People can read the book in French or the summary I just showed on the screen. Now you are a PhD, a Dr. Phil in Germany. How is it in Belgium? Do they call you Dr. Phil on your letterhead?
No, doctor.
Oh, you don't call yourself a doctor in Brussels?
Yeah, just doctor.
Oh, just doctor, not the Phil. Okay, now you are a doctor in 2000. And then you have been already from 1996 to 2000 the aspirant of the FNRS, whatever that is, Fonds
Yeah,
National
well,
de la...
this is the equivalent of the Deutsche Forschungsgemeinschaft in Belgium.
Ah, okay, very
And
good.
they paid me for 4 years to do the PhD.
Right. And then how did you get into Warburg?
Well, because actually soon after I came back from Harvard, I knew I was going to do my PhD on the Alexandriana, and I said I need to contact Charles Burnett and meet him. This is what I did at the time.
Already in 1996.
That's right, yes.
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
remember I wrote to him late in 1996, and we met in London early in 1997.
Let me make a break to that, not to forget what I want to know. Later, not in this period, we are continuing this period, but later you have been in the Warburg, and
Yeah.
then this new PhD student, Elena Avila, came to the Warburg, and she was researching on Asperle, this French astrologer, and I had a long, very nice talk with her on my podcast, and unfortunately, she is deceased. It's unforgivable that she is no longer with us. But anyways, um, and she told the anecdote. She came to Charles Burnett with, "Can I do a PhD about this Esberle in France with this document I have found?" And he said, "Okay, there is a guy I know, David Juste is just in the building. Why don't you talk to him? Can you elaborate on that? What happened?"
Yes, I can, but that was much, much
That
later.
was much later. Yeah, yeah. That was
Yes,
not
maybe 15 years after what we're talking
2000,
about.
2015, 2016, something
Oh,
around.
yes, so
Yeah.
even more than 15 years later. Yeah. It was only an accident that I was in London at the time, although I went to London very often even after my 3 years at the Warburg. And when Elena was there, I was there too. And then Charles, exactly as you said, Charles told her to meet me. They found me somewhere in the corridor, or in the library, I suppose. And we had a conversation with Elena. And actually, I listened to that video of Elena. She said that the conversation happened in the photocopy, next to the photocopy machines. And she is exactly right. I remember this very well as well. And then she showed me her Portuguese manuscript. No, it's a Latin manuscript in Lisbon. Um, she showed it to me, and and immediately I recognized the handwriting of the in that manuscript. And then I searched my files, and I found the other manuscript in Paris that was entirely in his hand. But in the Paris manuscripts, unlike the Lisbon manuscript, there is the name of the person, S. Bell. And that's how she realized that the author was no longer unknown, but there was a name.
How important for a researcher is an event like that?
Well, that's a question more for Elena, because I mean she received the information, and no, she was very happy. She was jumping up and down there.
She she
But
was
that's
she was
comprehensible.
racing she was racing to Charles Burnett, and he was confused. Did something happen? Didn't you like each other or what? That was her. That
Yes,
was
that's
her.
right. I remember that too. Yes, correct. That I didn't see. But yes, yeah. And actually, we remained in contact with Elena until she died.
Yes. Okay. So back to your biography. You started in 2000. Um, can you elaborate on how difficult is it to become a research fellow, which is that the lowest level of the research people employed by the Warburg for a specific time? It's not a permanent job, it's a time limited job. Is that the lowest level for researcher, or is it always something more?
No, I'm not sure you can compare because it's unique. There is only one long-term, 2 or 3 years postdoc. You need to have the PhD,
Okay.
and there is only one, so it does not really compare to the other positions.
Okay.
Well, I know that there are many applicants every year, and the process is, there were 6 professors at the Warburg at the time, and there was an interview, there was a shortlist, an interview. I went to London for the interview.
Did you apply for being monitored by Charles Burnett, or did you apply to be monitored by the Warburg, whoever they chose to
No,
monitor you?
actually, Charles wanted me to come to the Warburg,
Oh, so
and
you
he
had
said,
a free passage, not with any competition. He wanted you, and you were in, basically.
no, yes and no, because I know that he wanted me to come, and he gave me his voice, but there were 6 voices, and he said maybe the fellowship will be given to someone else. It's
In
impossible to say.
in in 2000, he was
That's right.
member of the British Academy, and the Warburg Institute had just ad hominem created a professorship because he was just a lecturer, and that didn't fit, referring to the video from yesterday, and that didn't fit at all. The difference was unbelievable. Lecturer of Maggie Thatcher and member of the British Academy, and they created a chair ad hominem for him. And then you came along and he said, I want this guy. Do you, in your wildest dreams, think they could have voted against him?
Yes, of course they
You
could have.
think so? You
Yeah.
think so?
Oh, yes, of course.
So
Um,
he wasn't that towering a professor in those days.
no, no, because I
Oh,
mean, one
okay.
of the six was the director of the Warburg Institute.
Okay.
And at the time, well, look, I can't remember, but it seems to me that half of, certainly three of them were older than Charles. They were also full professors.
Yes. So
But they,
they were not that impressed because they were not members of the British Academy. Okay.
no, but I don't, I think maybe you make too much of a big deal of the British Academy. It's
Okay.
important, of course,
Okay.
but they were all like very high level
So
scholars and full
that's why I'm
professors.
asking. I wanted to get this into context, what I learned yesterday. So basically, there were six professors, and they liked you for whatever reason, and you became a research fellow. Now, could you elaborate how does that work? What were you researching on? What subject? Did they give you a subject, or did you choose a subject? How did you, 3 years of
No,
research, what happened?
I had proposed a topic in my application. But in reality, I was totally free to do whatever I wanted as long as I did scholarly work.
Did they,
Uh,
and they paid you?
of course, they paid me, yeah, yeah, for the 3 years.
Are you allowed to say how much you got?
But I can't remember. It was in pounds. It was long ago. But
Was it all right to live a modest
no,
life in London,
no,
or
no,
was it
no, it was difficult, but not actually. I remember that I was better paid than in Brussels,
okay?
even, well, much that would be too much to say, but I was significantly better paid than in Brussels. But the difference is to live in London is so incredibly
Oh,
expensive
so
that I was poorer
it
than
wasn't that much money really. It was
no.
you got along, but it could have been better.
No,
Okay.
but no, I can't tell you how much it was really. I can't remember. But it was the thing is that fellowship had been funded on the estate of Francis Yates,
Oh, okay.
and she left money to the Warburg in order to create that fellowships and
So
actually other short-term fellowships under her name as well.
so you have been a Francis Yates researcher.
That's right.
Okay.
And I worked in her office.
Oh, very historic. Okay, you don't have to answer this question because of having been her fellow researcher. What do you think about her research? Because some people nowadays look at her main books a little bit more critical than when they were published. What is your view of Yeats?
Look, I don't know her work very well, or maybe I did when I was at the Warburg, and I forgot in the meantime because she did not really deal with the same topics as as I was doing.
Oh, so you didn't come
Um,
across the problem of Ludovico Lazzarelli and the ideas of what Walter Hanegraaff. Walter Hanegraaff published a book about Ludovico Lazzarelli and those days. You never came about that problem.
I don't even know what this is. Sorry.
Okay. You have to look it up. It's Wouter Hanegraaff, Amsterdam. He published a book about Ludovico Lazzarelli, and he was critical about Yeats' work because she didn't mention him in her book. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No. Well, fine, but many people have been critical of her work. Everyone acknowledges that they were important at the time. They were really like
It
foundational
it
in
was a
many
it was
respects.
a breakthrough, even if some later analyst shows good that they didn't know that there are some problems with the work. Could you say that?
Yeah, and I think almost every time someone look at one of the aspects she dealt with in detail, they found that her thesis did not work very well.
Yes, yes.
So I know that that happened many, many times. Uh,
So it's one of
yeah,
these
I would
cases.
say,
It's one of these cases when a single person does something historic, and it was very important that she did it the way she did it, because otherwise the public relation wouldn't have worked. But
that's right.
nowadays we look back and we say, thank God she didn't work more thoroughly, because otherwise the breakthrough wouldn't have happened.
It's difficult to say, but yes, you can put it that way.
Back to your thesis. What did you work on? 3 years.
At the Warburg,
Yes.
well, actually, I didn't do what I had said I would do in my application, but this is typical with me. I started to work on the catalog of astrological manuscripts.
The one which we are working now in Munich, the same thing?
No, it's the Catalogus Codicum Astrologorum Latinorum, of which, as you mentioned, I published not three, but two volumes.
Okay. Okay. Warburg is over, 2003. You don't get a degree or something, you just leave.
Yes, that's right. There's no degree.
Okay. What happened next?
Well, next I went to Munich.
Yes, I can read that, but what did you do there? And how did
Um,
you got a very high class Alexander of Humboldt grant, which is in Germany not the normal thing. How did you apply for that? You had to have at least one or two professors who wrote some nice words about you that you get this. How t
yeah, well,
get that
actually,
tell us the narrative. What happened?
yeah, I wanted to go to Munich to work with Mensa Volkerts,
Okay,
who was at the time the head of the Department of History of Science, or it was the Lehrstuhl für Geschichte der Naturwissenschaften.
okay,
And I admired his work very much, although he was a pure historian of medieval mathematics. But one thing he had that no one else had was a wonderful collection of 5,000 Latin microfilms
oh, okay,
of Latin scientific manuscripts.
yes,
And and I knew that if I could spend some time in Munich, I would be able to work with all of those microfilms. And this is what happened.
but how did you get the grant? It doesn't fly from the sky.
No, but I applied. I mean, it's very, you go to the, well, at the time, I don't know whether it was already on a website, but you get to know the rules of the von Humboldt. They tell you how to apply. You apply. Then I had contacted Mensa Volkerts, telling him my intention to apply to go to Munich to work with him. I am pretty certain that he had to write a letter for
Yes, he
me.
had to. Certainly had to. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and one day I received a letter that my application was granted.
Okay.
I don't know that for the rest, it's all mystery, right?
Okay. So from 2004 to 2005, you were in Munich. Now, give us an insight of the work there, an insight in the workshop. How does this looks like? What did you do practically in your research there?
Well, actually, this is where I finished the first volume of the catalog of astrological manuscripts. And it is also there that I finished my PhD, that I finished making a book out
Yes,
of my PhD. Yeah.
yes.
And I guess this is the main, that's the main things I did at the time. Or,
Okay,
of
but
course, I wrote articles.
consider somebody who has never been in any higher education. Let's say somebody who doesn't know anything about universities, he doesn't even know that they exist. Tell this guy, this virtual guy, how does that look like? You go into a building and there are some columns which are very impressive in Munich, I suppose. And then you go
Yeah.
upstairs, and then what do you do every day? What does that mean?
So the Lehrstuhl was located in the Deutsches Museum and not on the main. campus of LMU.
Okay.
So I went to the Deutsches Museum pretty much every day, only in the afternoon, because in the morning I was at the Staatsbibliothek to look at manuscripts every morning for 2 years. And, and then
Now I'm this guy who has no idea. Um, you
so
go,
sorry.
you go into this official building and you look at manuscripts. How do you do that? Are they on tables, or do you have to go to a registrar and he gets them for you? How does it work?
So at the time, because now it is different, at the time you could just turn up in the morning, fill a slip with the shelf mark, the signature of the manuscript,
Yes,
give it to the counter, and 15 minutes, 20 minutes later, you would be given the manuscripts you had ordered. And so this is very simple. It's like
yes.
it's the manuscript and Neue Drucke section. So it's very small. Maybe there are 20 seats,
And are these
25.
originals?
Yes, of course, only originals.
Did you have to have the how do you call this,
The gloves.
the gloves? Did you need
S-
gloves?
Sometimes when a manuscript is especially precious, then you are asked to wear gloves. But
And
this is the
and did you
mm,
photograph the whole thing? Otto Neugebauer just was looking at photographs when he was doing research. Did you photograph the documents?
not then because it was not allowed at LMU, and I think it's at the Staatsbibliothek, and I think it's still not allowed today. But more and more libraries allow you to photograph, like in
So
London,
so
Oxford,
you did
Cambridge.
have to take notes.
That's right. So I was copying. Um,
So you were like like a monk in the 12th century in a monastery.
exactly. That's
Copied.
like a monk. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Very good. Okay. And then you got out of the Staatsbibliothek, and where did you go then? You got Deutsches Museum. What did you do there?
And then I worked on various either articles or making my PhD a book, as I said.
What does that mean, working on? You remember, I have no idea what that does mean in university context.
No, but for
What?
example, you go to a conference to present a paper, and you
Okay.
need to prepare that paper. So this is
What
one of the things I
what
did.
what conference did you go to?
Well, look, I went to many conferences, and I cannot tell you by heart
Ah, okay, okay.
which ones I went to when I was in Munich in those
Yeah.
years.
When I was after my retirement in 2004 in December, I went back to university, Leibniz University in Hanover, and I studied his philosophy of science. And in the Institute of Philosophy of Science of Heuning in Hüne, we had people like you coming from Munich or very far away and presenting their paper on Wednesday morning or Wednesday afternoon. How far did you go? Did you have a long traveling or just around Munich and local conferences?
No, no, no. I travel regularly throughout Europe.
With your paper?
Well, I mean, with one paper that I had prepared, yeah,
Yeah, okay,
which
okay.
and well, I gave talks pretty much everywhere. Yeah,
Did you finish what you wanted to finish in those days in Munich, or was
yeah.
the time too short?
Um, no, but the time I shorter the time because in the meantime I had met my partner in Munich,
Okay.
became my wife, and
Okay.
she is Australian. So
Ah, now I understand why this Australian comes into it. I never,
yes,
I was surprised, Sydney, how this comes Sydney into the picture. Okay, you
yeah.
met a nice lady. Did you marry her in Munich or in Australia?
No, in Brussels, in Belgium.
But her parents didn't like that, I suppose, because in Australia, I assume, like in America or England, the mother of the bride wants to organize the feast. How in your case?
No, 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 that was not. No, I can't remember exactly how that happened, but Brussels was never really put into question.
What year did you marry?
In 2005.
In 2005. And then somehow you left Europe and landed in Australia. Tell us the story. Tell us the
Actually,
story.
I left Europe in December 2006 to
Oh,
go to
so
Australia.
there's a year lapse
No,
between.
sorry, 2005,
Yeah,
December 2005. So immediately after finishing in Munich, I organized the move to Australia. Yeah.
and then you came back for the marriage to Brussels.
No, because the marriage had taken place in August.
Ah, okay. Now I got the timeline.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, you are married, and then you both want to go to Australia, and that happens in December 2005. Did you go to Australia without a job, or did you have the job already?
No, at the time when I decided to move to Australia, I thought that that was the end of my career. So, because as a medievalist,
Oh,
as a
oh.
specialist of Latin manuscripts, I didn't expect to be able to find a
So
job.
you wanted to work on a ranch to skinning sheep.
I don't know. I can't remember what I thought exactly, but it didn't matter much to me. I was determined to go. I was-
Why did you want to? Because it was the country of your wife?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So she was homesick.
No, no, not at all. But actually, after we spent I met her early in 2004 in Munich, and she was in Germany for 7 months. So we spent those 7 months together. Then she had to go back to Australia for an
Ah,
important surgical operation that did not go well. And after that, it was difficult for her to travel, even though she did it for the wedding in Brussels. But it was more difficult for her to move to Europe.
why on earth did you insist on Brussels if she was after the operation in Australia? You could have gone there to marry.
I can't remember, but it might be that I had to obtain a visa to go to Australia. That was not very easy.
Ah, and
And
after
I
you
think
were okay, you
we
were
decided
yeah,
that it was a better plan to marry in Brussels.
and then
I
go to
forgot
the
the exact,
consulate after that. I understand. Okay, so
yeah.
basically, you landed in Australia. Where did she live with her family? Where was that?
No, no, at the time, she had rented a flat for us uh,
Okay,
in
and
Sydney,
in Sydney.
in Sydney.
Did the decision to land on Sydney and not some Australia has very you could have gone to the west coast,
No,
which is
no, but she is from Sydney and she loves Sydney. She wouldn't go
uh,
and live in Melbourne. No, no, no way.
okay, okay, and not in Perth in Perth as well. Okay,
Yeah, well,
okay. So Sydney, you are in the rented flat, and you didn't have a job then.
no, because, well, actually, I had decided to move to Australia, but that was in the week of the wedding in August. My future mother-in-law was there. So my wife is Sonia. Sonia's mother was there. And she said, David, there are research fellowships at the University of Sydney. And she knew that because she was professor at the University of Sydney.
Ah,
And she
okay.
said, why don't you apply? And I said, no way. The deadline is in like 1 week. And in 3 days' time, I'm going on honeymoon with your daughter. I have no time to apply. And actually, my mind was not at all with academic matters at the time. But then she insisted and said, 3 days, that's more than enough for a good application. Why don't you start right now? And actually, I said, oh, well, why not? And I applied like really in 1 day or 2 days. And I got another postdoc in Sydney for 3 years, fully paid. Yeah,
You got a 3 years postdoc grant from the University of Sydney.
that's right. Yeah.
3 years, but
To
then
work on medieval astrology.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I know it sounds strange. Yeah.
Uh, does that mean that the context of what faculty was that in?
It was, well, actually, it was at the time, it doesn't exist anymore, the Center for Medieval Studies,
And this
which
center was in a special faculty department. And what was the
it
structure?
was associated with the English department.
Oh, literature.
Because most
Okay.
people in
Language
the
and
center,
literature. Okay. Okay.
yeah, because there is no really medieval studies in Sydney,
Okay.
and most medievalists they study medieval English literature. So they can be called medievalists, but their approach is more like literature.
And how do I have to understand the structure, the hierarchy of this center? There was a director. How many people were in that center? Was it a large thing or a small
Well,
thing?
actually, I was the only person paid in the center.
Oh,
All the other were professors and students from other departments or faculties.
okay.
And but it was possible to obtain a degree in medieval studies. So they had MA and PhD students.
And you did lecture there as well?
Yes, I gave one seminar. Yeah,
What title did the seminar?
it was medieval cosmology.
Okay, that is intriguing. What cosmology did you teach? Because medieval cosmologies. Yesterday we were talking about the cosmology of Henry of Carinthia and Adela Bath. That was a Platonic cosmology. Did you teach an Aristotelian cosmology or a
Yeah,
Platonic?
for a great part, yes. But I surveyed the whole Middle Ages and until the 17th century. So I talked about like Platonic cosmology a little bit too, the church fathers, the translators, and of course Aristotle, the universities and that kind of things. Yeah.
Coming to a private questions you don't have to answer. Uh, Cosmology, there are people who don't have one. Atheists, they don't have a cosmology. Then there are Platonists, they have a.
No, they do have. I mean, if they believe in the Big Bang, that's a cosmology.
Yeah, I agree, but it's a rather stupid one because
Oh, really? Okay, fine.
I have my bias on that, and I declare I am openly biased. I don't care what these people think really, because there are a lot of philosophical questions with the Big Bang and how did that happen. Anyways, how about yourself? Are you a follower of the Big Bang philosophy?
No, I don't have strong opinions about that. No, actually I don't know. I cannot say. I do not belong to any recognizable group of thought or no. I
When you were a learning astrologer student, the problems of fate and free will and anima mundi and all the spheres and God and Proclus philosophy and Plotinus and all that, did that ever touch you or did you just leave that aside?
Well, at the time I was an astrologer. As I said, I was a psychological astrologer.
Yes.
So I would have been closer to Plato by heart
Okay.
than to Aristotle. But at the time, I didn't really know Aristotle and Plato. I didn't care much. But for me, psychological astrology, I mean, had spoke to me. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But it doesn't mean that.
When
Uh,
you say spoke to me, are we talking about the archetypes of C.G. Jung or something else?
yes, of course, and that also spoke to me. Yeah.
Okay, okay, just a second. I put this question to a lot of people. Now I put it to you. What do you believe is an archetype? Is it a living entity? Or is it something which can be developed by people, by human beings who think about something and then out of that there develops an egregor and this egregor manifests itself into an archetype and then you have a living entity? Or is archetype, J.G. Jung didn't really put it precise what he believed an archetype was or is. I have my bias is I believe archetypes are living entities, and I sometimes say so. My archetype XY did put something into my ear, my angel, something like that. How about you? How do you see the
Uh, uh,
archetypes?
I'm going to give you a very disappointing answer.
No, no.
I don't know, and I didn't really ask myself uh,
Okay.
that question.
Is archetypal approach something which is relevant for you today?
No, but
What is
it's
what?
not irrelevant either. It's I don't know. I'm certain. I certainly believe that the world, the universe, is full of mysteries. But
So you are agnostic. You leave it.
oh yes, well, yeah.
You are agnostic.
If you have to put a word of what I am, then agnostic would be probably the best. Yeah.
Okay. So 3 years in Sydney, But you have stayed there longer than 3 years. What happened after the 3 years? The grant was terminated, and then?
Yeah, and then the Center for Medieval Studies closed down at that time.
Okay.
And or yes, or maybe 1 year later, because I continue to teach at the University of Sydney. I continue to teach my seminar on medieval cosmology.
And who paid you?
Yeah, they paid me, but only for that seminar. So it's like a sort of one shot. It's not a
Oh,
regular salary throughout the
well,
year.
you can't live on a seminar salary.
Yes, that's right. But my wife made enough money for both of us. So
Okay.
yeah.
Is it private, or are you allowed to talk about what your wife does?
She works in business, and
Ah, okay. She's
yeah,
she's in stripes, and
she's
has
not at all an academic. Yeah,
okay. She earns a ton of money, so you are the
not a ton of
proprietor.
money, but she had enough money for both of us. Yeah,
Okay.
um, and uh, and maybe so that was for 1 year, but then I went to Erlangen for 1 year.
Yes, this is very interesting. How this was the Erlangen activity, which is no longer, which is the University of Erlangen-Nuremberg International Consortium for Research in the Humanities, Fate, Freedom, and Prognostication, Strategies for Coping with the Future in East Asia and Europe. And you have been a visiting scholar for 12 months. Did you meet Niederwiese, who was part of that program too?
Who?
Niederwiese, Dr. Niederwiese, practicing astrologer.
No, I don't know that person.
Okay, um, he was before you or after you, it doesn't matter. What did you do in, you went there, you moved to Erlangen.
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
So what I did, actually, Charles Burnett was there at the same time,
okay.
and we were working on a book together. This is what we did.
What's the title?
The book is still not finished, 15 years later.
Oh,
Actually, what we want to do is a new version of the so-called Carmody. Carmody is an American scholar who published in 1956 a catalogue of Arabic, Latin,
okay,
astrological and astronomical translations.
okay.
And this book is quite important for medieval research, medieval science,
Well, he
but
has time now,
it's
but you don't.
incomplete.
Well, he has time now, he's emeritus. You are full engaged in a full job in Munich since 2013. Do you still have time to finish that book?
Well, this is the problem, you see, but we keep implementing our file. We've been working on this book since 2009.
Okay.
So, and it's still, well, I don't know. It seems to me that I would need oh, maybe 6 months hard work if we want to finish it, maybe more.
Could you get a
And
sabbatical in your project? Because you are a typical German bureaucratic employee. You are boss of a whole institution in Munich, and you're paid in the highest tariff group of the Tarifvertrag. So normally, in those German circumstances, it's difficult to get a sabbatical.
um, but I don't really want to get a sabbatical because I'm very happy to work on Ptolemy, you see.
Okay, so this book with Charles Burnett is on a little bit left behind
Yes
now.
and no, because we keep working on it, which is
Okay,
like this book is almost always open on my computer. And
okay,
any time I have some information to change or to add, I do it. And Charles does the same.
okay.
And actually, most of our colleagues know that this book exists in some form, like a Word document.
Yes, okay.
And whenever they have questions, they ask us and we provide the information. So
Very
in
good.
the end, it
Yeah.
functions almost as a real book,
Okay,
like a
just
real book.
just before the
Yeah.
publishing, but the text is available. Okay. Did your wife come with you to Erlangen-Nuremberg?
Yes, she came at least twice, and
Oh,
I
she
went.
didn't stay for the whole year.
No, 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 because she was working in Sydney.
Okay,
Uh, and but we this is what we do now. We commute between Sydney and Munich. So, but it is
That's
possible.
why you were locked down in the COVID part. You were in Sydney, and then the hammer got you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, circumstances change all the time,
Yeah. Okay.
but I spent the two years and 2 months of COVID in Australia, in Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have children?
No, if I had children, I wouldn't be in Germany now.
Okay. Good. So basically, you go back to Sydney. Uh, are you teaching again, or did you do something else?
No, when I came back to Sydney, I didn't teach, but soon after that, it was in early 2012, we got the news that the Ptolemaeus Arabus et Latinus had been funded by the Union der Deutschen Akademie der Wissenschaften.
25 million for
No, no, no,
25,
no. 25 years.
25 years. How many millions?
12 million.
12 millions. And this is capital which has to be used up. It's not interest on the capital which finances you. The capital finances you. And
Look, I can't tell you exactly
okay.
because the money is not managed directly by us, but partly by the Bayerische Akademie der Wissenschaften because
Uh,
they are our host, but
yes.
also by the University of Würzburg because officially we are paid by.
Professor Hasse is your director.
That's right.
Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Who had the idea to this monument? This is for the viewers. This is not something Germany does every day. This is a very high-profile project with a very long period of 25 years to fulfill it. Who had the idea to do this? Was it Professor Hasse in Würzburg, or who was it?
No, 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 no. It was, do you want me to tell you the story?
Everything, every
No,
nitty-gritty.
no, actually, it started in 2009. It
Hmm.
was a Saturday in August, a beautiful night, and we went to dinner with Mensa Volkert. So the head of, he was just retired.
Your wife, when you say we
No,
went
no,
to,
she was not in Munich at the time.
who is the we? You and?
I'm going to tell you in a minute. So Mensa Volkert, the head of History of Science in Munich, and Benno van Dalen, who at the time was doing a DFG Deutsche Forschungsgemeinschaft project in Munich. And that's how we met.
Okay.
And one night, the three of us were having dinner in Munich. And Menzo suggested that I apply for a very long-term academic project to continue the catalog of Latin astrological manuscripts. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that because I was convinced, rightly or wrongly, that no funding body would give money for such a project, a catalog. And then they had intended to talk about this topic like the whole night, but I said no immediately as we finished the apéro. So I think they were a bit disappointed. But then Benno said, why don't we apply together, you and me, with another project? And to that question, I said yes immediately because I like Benno van Dalen very much. And I thought that working with him would be a dream. I said yes, but we didn't have a topic. And it happens that Charles Burnett was in Munich at that time too. I know Charles Burnett is always he's always everywhere.
Yeah.
And he had already invited us, Benno and I, for dinner on Monday night, 2 days after our conversation with Mensa Folket. And we said on that Monday night, Benno and I, we said to Charles, look, we are going to apply for a long-term academic project in Munich. Would the Warburg Institute be our partner? That was the question we wanted to secure. And he said, yes, of course, no problem. And he said, what is your project? So, we don't know. We haven't decided yet. And we started to talk about the topic that night, the three of us. And at some point I said, look, Benno is an Arabist and mathematician, computer scientist, astronomer, and I am the Latin astrologer. And I said, what does an Arabic astronomer have in common with a Latin astrologer. And then Ptolemy had everything together. And we decided to go for Ptolemy. And at that point, it was obvious that it would be Ptolemy and nothing else. Ptolemy in Arabic and in Latin. And we started to write the draft almost immediately.
Continue. Every step.
Right. And then at the time, the great specialist of Ptolemy was Paul Kunitsch, who was in Munich as well, and he came every day to the Department of History of Science with Mensa Volkerts and others. And I remember in the beginning, Paul Kunitsch, who was also a good friend, not only someone remote. We had lunch almost every day together. And he said, this will never work. You should give up Ptolemy. But Benno and I, we did not believe what Professor Kunitsch was saying, and we continue writing the draft. And then that was in August. Then I left, I went back to Australia, and Benno and I, we continued to have, at the time it was Skype, not Zoom yet.
Yes.
And we had frequent conversations about Ptolemy and the draft and how to improve and blah, blah, blah. And at some point I said, look, Benno, we need a third person here because you are Dutch working in Munich, but I am Belgian working in Australia. Germany will not give us millions of euros for over 25 years.
When you say Germany, when you were working on that draft, what authority did you have in mind you wanted to send the draft to? Was it the University of Munich, Ludwig Maximilian?
No, it was the Union der Deutschen Akademie der Wissenschaften.
Already then you wanted to put
Yes.
this to this Union der Deutschen Akademie?
Yes, because it's actually the only institution, not only in Germany, but probably in the world, that will grant projects for 12, 18, or 25
Yes.
years.
Can you repeat the exact title of the organization?
It's the Union der Deutschen Akademien der Wissenschaften.
Die Union der
Deutschen Akademien
der Wissenschaften.
der Wissenschaften.
Where are they? So, where do they have their office?
I think the headquarters are in Mainz.
In Mainz?
Mainz, yeah.
Not in Berlin. Okay, good.
No. And then there are 9 academies. And
so back to your draft. You are still developing the draft. What happens next?
And I said that I believe we need someone else who is a professor in Germany, preferably in Bavaria, because we wanted to be based in Munich.
Oh, there Hasse comes into the picture. Okay.
And that's how he came into the project. I mean, maybe that would be a bit too long to tell here.
No. We have time. We have time to do it.
Okay. Then actually, I said to Benno, we need a third person. Benno was not very excited with that idea in the beginning. And I said, look, we need someone who is a full professor in Bavarian University and someone who deals with the history of science, who knows Greek, Arabic, Latin, and who is young enough to live until the end of the 25 years. To which Benno replied, but such person does not exist in Germany. So we will never find such a person. But what happened is that Benno was organizing a conference in Munich in November that year. So
2009.
That's right.
Okay.
And so I flew back from Australia because I was taking part in that conference. And Dag Nicolaus Hasse had been invited by Benno as a speaker.
Oh, okay.
But Benno didn't know Dag very well at the time. He knew him by name and reputation, but they hadn't met. And when Dag was giving, I had met Dag maybe 2 or 3 times before at the Warburg Institute and in other places, but I didn't know him well either. But when Dag gave his talk in that conference in Munich in November, I thought, this is the guy we need. And because he had all the characteristics I had given, he had them all. and only after that we still had some time to think about that. But I remember that in February 2010, I wrote to Dag to ask him whether he would agree with us for this application. And he said yes. Well, not immediately. He took the time to think about that because it was a major commitment for him. And so we continued applying together because it's a long process. The application process took well over a year, maybe almost 2 years, because you have to go through different phases. And then in the end, you submit not a draft, but a long application of 25 pages where everything must be clearly explained, like any other application. And so we continued writing the big application, the three of us. And Doug was fully committed. So in the end, it was like really the three of us completely committed to the project. And at some point it was ready, we submitted, and yeah, and in 2012 we got the news that it was funded.
You got 12 million euros.
Sorry?
You got 12 million euros.
Yeah, but I mean they didn't send us a check, you know.
um, how does it start? It started in 2013 as an
Right.
organization. How many people are part of that project? Three researchers, the professor, you and your friend.
Well, look, it changes all the time, but basically we have five full-time researchers.
And you are one of them.
That's right. Benno is another one of them. And
Okay.
then we have two postdocs and one PhD student.
So 5 people. Okay.
Five.
Okay.
But then,
Let's stop here because we come back to the project later in the talk.
okay.
I want to come back to my homepage. So basically, we are now 2013 till present. You were born in 1969, and how old will you be when the project is finished?
68.
So that should fit. Okay. So basically, we can leave this. Okay. Now I'm changing subject before we come back to the Ptolemaeus problem. In one of your videos, you have a special project and you wanted to do an article about it. I suppose it's already published now. 34 judgments in Latin from 1135 till 1450. You mentioned that in the talk with Elena Avila and Luis
That's
Ribeiro.
right. Yes. Yeah.
What about that project, which is
It
described?
is published.
Okay. How was the reception?
Well, I don't know. It was published in 2021. And you know,
Okay.
with that kind of things, you need to wait. I mean, I've had feedback from colleagues, but I don't really know what the reception of this article is. No, I don't know.
Okay. What intrigued me is because I have the Astrologumena in my bookshelf. In contrast to Wilhelm Gundel and his Astrologumena and Ben Dykes and his translations. Um, oh no, that's my fault. Your paper ends here. I have to rephrase that. Okay. Tell our viewers what this article is about.
Uh, well, one thing that I believe is needed in medieval astrology is a study of the techniques and the astrological techniques, which are not well known. I mean, Elena Avila did the same, and Luis Ribeiro works on techniques as well, but too few people work on techniques, so we know very little. And when we talk about astrological techniques, we talk about interpretation of the chart, that is the horoscope, right? And you have the four main branches of Arabic Latin astrology, that is nativities, revolutions, elections, and interrogations. And I wanted to have an article that would survey all actual chart readings on nativities, birth horoscopes in the Middle Ages. This is what I wanted to do. And thanks to my catalog of astrological manuscripts, well, I know 34 examples of those chart readings, and I surveyed the 34 documents in question.
And you were talking with Helena and Luis about the problems these texts have. Could you elaborate on that?
Each text has a different problem, so I don't know. You have to be more specific here.
Well, one problem is how correct the astronomical data have been as a foundation for the judgment. The table problem.
Um, well, I would say that generally speaking, the astronomical tables that were available in the Middle Ages give pretty good results. Altogether, you have to admit some mistakes for some planets at certain time, but basically it's rather good. It's not uncommon to find charts in the Middle Ages that where all the planets are correct within 1 degree, which is not bad.
Okay.
So sometimes you have mistakes, of course, that can go up to 5, even 10 or 15 degrees. And sometimes you have astrologers who do things you don't understand because everything is completely wrong. Uh, well, sometimes that can also happen because there were some sidereal astrologers in the Latin Middle Ages. And of course, you have to apply the shift in order to to assess the correctness of the positions. Yeah.
So I asked you the same question I'd asked Professor Burnett. Considering what you just said, the tables could be used for correct judgments. Abu Mashar, in his work on the great conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn, used mean degrees. Do you have an explanation? Was he just shortcutting, like Burnett was speculating, or was there another reason for him not to use the exact information where the planets were?
Um,
Just speculative. You can't.
I
You
don't know.
can't.
I would like to assess the exact situation of this because it's possible that he applied mean conjunctions only for like the remote history. But when it came to his time, he must have proceeded with some calculations. This is what Mashahala did, because Mashahala
Yeah. Okay.
did the same. He worked on the great conjunctions very much. But if you want to make a full list of great conjunctions since creation or the flood, I don't see. I mean, there is no point in applying any other rule than mean conjunctions.
Okay. This is in the context of a conference, astrologers and their clients in medieval and early modern Europe. What is your impression of the quality of the astrologers in connection with their clients? Is that like today, or is it better, or have they been outstanding? You have been involved in this work with this conference and the publication. What's your impression on these old astrologers?
You know what? Actually, I don't really know what is the modern relationship between astrologers and their clients. I can only speak for myself.
Okay.
But I don't know. This is a difficult question to answer, but I would say that you have, it's just like human beings, you have all sorts of astrologers, clients, and relationships between the two. So they were very serious astrologers who really worked on the material, did not try to spare or flatter their clients. And there were soldiers who were certainly crooks and just wanted to sort of become political advisors. But I suppose this is only human, and you would find the same among medieval lawyers, medieval doctors, medieval theologians, even, I suppose, would be the same. I'm not sure there is a very clear distinction to make.
Okay. Now we are jumping topics now for the final part of the very interesting interview with you. In one of your videos with Helena and Louis, you mentioned there are people, or you might believe the same thing, that Firmicus Maternus was an idiot or was not an idiot. What's your opinion today?
No, 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 I wouldn't say he was an idiot. I think I had repeated what Auguste Boucher-Leclerc in his book L'Astrologie grecque said about Firmicus Maternus, and I quote in French, Firmicus Maternus est la terreur de qui cherche à comprendre. And it is true that Firmicus Maternus, at first, it's a very big book. It's not always easy to follow, and clearly there are contradictions in the way he applies astrology from one place to a different place. But I would say this is quite typical among medieval astrologers. Abu Mashar is full of contradictions. Mashahala, the same. Zal, the same. Maybe Abraham ibn Ezra is an exception. He is very consistent in the way he deals with techniques. And because you talked about Abraham ibn Ezra yesterday with Charles
Yes.
Burnett, and I very much agree with what was said yesterday. And I believe that Abraham ibn Ezra was one of the most clever, most intelligent astrologers of the Middle Ages. Another astrologer who was very intelligent is that guy Henry Batt of
We, we,
Macon.
co- we, we come to that in a minute.
Oh,
Uh,
right, okay.
the book is right here. The next topic is in the context of your dissertation, you mentioned that or it is possible, you think at least, that Gerbert, the later Pope Sylvester II, was involved, and that the document itself could be written or attributed to Al-Kindi. What's your short version of that topic?
No, I didn't say anything like that.
Ah, okay, so I remember that falsely.
No.
Did in your opinion Sylvester II or the astrologer Gerbert could have been involved in your document, which was part of your dissertation?
Yes, but that's the Alcandriana. Yeah, look, I leave the question open, but at the same time, I believe there are a number of elements that point towards the fact that Gerbert practiced some astrology, or at least was aware of some astrological authors, including the Alcandriana.
Okay. Next topic. What do you think about the Trutina Hermetis? Not as an historical fact because it was used in times. What's your opinion? Is it a way to rectify a horoscope?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Okay,
it
let's
is
let's
one
leave
of
it there.
the.
I was just wondering whether you, if you were a practicing astrologer, you would apply to rectify horoscopes.
This is very difficult to say. What I'd like to do, and actually I don't quite understand why we do not have documents about that, because the Trutina Hermetis is one way of rectifying the horoscope. The Animodar of Ptolemy is another way. And there's still a third way, inferring the exact time from the facts and the deeds of the person whom we know in their life. So there are three ways of rectifying a horoscope. But I haven't found a single astrologer who does compare the three with precise data and decides this one is correct, this one is not correct, or maybe all three are false, but they cannot be all correct at the same time. No, there is only one that is correct and two or three that are false. But I haven't seen any documents about that, which I find very disappointing.
Okay. Before I come to this book, which we will talk shortly, um, I have a bias against Ptolemy. I don't like him. I think Ptolemy is one of those guys who wanted to get rid of the spiritual aspects of astrology and throw everything out which is not mathematical and astronomical. You are dealing with this guy every day. What is your approach to Ptolemy? Do you like him and his approach, getting rid of a lot of astrology? Because that's what he did. He got rid of a lot of astrology. Nechepso they are just left out in his work.
Yeah.
And what Vetus Valens did and Dorotheus of Sidon did, it's not his cup of tea. Is Ptolemy your cup of tea, or are you more on my side?
Well, look, my approach is not the same as yours in the sense I'm not asking myself whether Ptolemy in his astrology is right or wrong, or
Right.
is spiritual or not
Yes.
spiritual.
Yes.
I like Ptolemy. It's a sort of, let's say, call it a professional hazard in my case. But it's like your favorite movie. You change your mind, then Ptolemy, you don't like it, you don't like him anymore, and then you start again. And so it's a sort of, uh, uh, you know, varied relationship.
Okay.
But
Okay.
altogether, I like Ptolemy very much. I must say about his astrology that it is close to incomprehensible. The Tetrabiblos is certainly the most difficult astrological text I've come across. Yeah.
Okay. Now I come to something which might surprise you. This is my absolute highlight. What you did with three other peoples, it's Carlos Steele, Stephen Vandenbrücke, and Shlomo Sela. And it's called The Astrological Autobiography of a Medieval Philosopher, Henry Batte's Nativitatis in 1280 to 1281. This is a document which I would like to have in modern times, that one astrologer gives a video with me or with somebody else and delineates in detail about his own chart or about somebody else's chart. I couldn't find up till now. Might be on Thursday, Penelope Sitter is willing to do a Morinus delineation like Henry Battet did for his own chart. This is absolutely great work you did there. Did you know how important that is, what you did? Or is it just a normal project for your four people?
No, 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 it's not just a normal project. Actually, I always believed that this was a very important document within the whole field of medieval astrology. Even considering Hebrew, Arabic, Byzantine, this is the kind of document that is extremely rare, perhaps even it's almost unique. Of course, you have many documents where one astrologer delineates the chart of someone else, but in this case, it's himself, and I don't have any in mind any clear comparison. And what is also very good about Henry Batt, or Bate in English, is
He's
that
he's he's Belgium, right?
that's right, yes.
Could you pronounce it in Batté?
No, it would be, I think in French we say Henri Batt,
Henri
Batt,
Bat. Henri Bat.
Henri
Okay.
Batt.
Okay.
Um, what is also good with him, Henri Bat, he was a very good astronomer, a very good mathematician, and a very good astrologer. And in all disciplines, he had read almost everything that was available in his time. Not only read, but fully digested. And he was a very clever person. There's no doubt about that. And then he proceeds explaining his own horoscope step by step. And he starts with, what is my time of birth? Because in the 13th century, it is almost only in very rare cases, like princes or, you would know your time of birth. So he had to inquire, to make investigations with his family, in Mechelen with other people as well, and he did all that. And from that point to the very end, which is like a solar return for the year 1280, that's how we can date the work. He explains everything about his own chart, and he often compares with his life. So we have the two in parallel. This is to me, this is an exquisite document and very important, more than for just astrology, but for the history of science in general. I believe it's an important document. Yeah.
And what is a desideratum is you didn't translate the Nativitas from Latin into a vernacular language
No,
like
we
English.
thought about that at some point. Yes, and after the
You
book,
do realize that you are leaving out the whole astrological community worldwide because we don't speak Latin.
yes, that's right. I know. This is always a big question. If we translate, we spend another time that we could spend on another book,
Okay.
and this is the question.
Can you bribe Benjamin Dykes?
Well, actually, I'm in contact with Ben from time to time. I
Please,
have.
please, please ask him to translate this
It would,
into
yeah,
English.
it would be great. You know, Henry Batt is also not very easy to translate. He writes
Uh-huh.
excellent high-level Latin.
Okay.
And one of the problems, which is always the same problem, is how to translate the astrological terms. Should we speak the language of modern astrologers or use the terms they used in the 13th century or like in all the text?
Use them both.
Well, this is difficult, or we should give all of them
Footnotes.
in
Footnotes.
footnotes. Of course,
Yeah.
we could have a glossary. I mean, there are ways to deal with this, but
Okay, I understand
yeah.
the problem. Um, but that is not the only important aspect of Henry. But could you tell the viewers why this guy is more important than most of all the other guys for the astrology tradition?
Because, well, again, because he might be the only example, or almost the only example, of someone who delineates his own chart, knowing his
That's not
life.
what I mean. He has another field of work which is unbelievable important for the tradition of astrology, the old texts, because without him we wouldn't have a corpus of work. You know what I mean? Ibn Ezra?
Ah, his translations.
Yes, please elaborate in detail for our
Well,
viewers.
I
Most
would
viewers
say.
don't know this.
Yeah, of course, that's correct. So, but first of all, this is important, but this is not, I believe, tremendously important because even if you erase Henry Batt from history,
Yes,
you would still have Abu Mashar, Alcabitius, Zail, Mashahala. We would have all those authors, Ptolemy,
but
and
we would probably not have Abraham ibn Ezra, which is, in my opinion, more readable than the other guys.
yeah, he is actually very readable. But actually, there were translations before Henry Batt of Abraham ibn Ezra. Not exactly translations, but you know that Abraham ibn Ezra lived in Italy, then he moved to France,
Yes,
to
and England.
northern France, and to England.
Yes, yeah.
And everywhere he stopped, he taught astrology to his Jewish community. But there were people there who took note in Latin and who summarized his teaching on nativities, on
Okay.
elections, on interrogations, on general astrology. And they did that. And we also have those texts. And when we compare the translations made, for example, by Henry Batt and the pre existing not translations, but report by students or colleagues. The texts are very similar.
Oh, I
So
understand.
clearly,
Yeah, okay.
this is not the pen of Abraham ibn Ezra, but it is his teaching.
Well, at least I can read these books, and those were not available if he didn't do what he did, right?
Of course, that is extremely important. Yeah, Shlomo Sela. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the final question for this wonderful talk today. I'm very interested in the Sabians of Haran. Are you are you concurring with me that those people are very important?
Yes, yeah, I would say yes, because, well, of course, we don't know much about Aran, you know, but at least in Aran, there was some astrological and more than astrological, of course, philosophical and magical teaching that was very different from pretty much all other regions in the world. And it's probably quite we can be thankful that these traditions somehow survived, for example, via the work of Thabit ibn Qurra and other authors. Yeah, but maybe that was not your question.
Now, basically, what I'm interested in is this is a tradition. They are between the 2nd century and the 7th century, and they are translating and transporting documents into the Arabic world. And if they hadn't done that, we might have not had a lot of texts today.
Absolutely, this is very important. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. One could say, as far as the transmission of astrology is concerned, since Mesopotamia up to, let's say, William Lilly, the history is intricate until text become translated into Latin. After the 12th century, the history of astrology is linear. It's
Yeah.
you know it's easy. You don't need to go beyond the 12th century to understand what is the astrology we practice today, where does it come from. You can stop at the 12th century, but the whole period before that is indeed extremely complicated, and we can be certain that luck played an enormous role in texts that were destroyed completely, texts that survived, and maybe they should not have survived. It would have been better for the field if they had not survived. Oh, yes, this is, and Aran is one of those places where they did something which was different from their surroundings. Yes.
Going back a little bit more in time, some people refer to Hermes Trismegistus and Nechepso and Petusiris as the grandmasters of astrology. Do you have an opinion or belief on that? Did they exist, or is there just smoke and mirror or nothing?
This is a question for Stefan Heilen.
Okay, I agree. But he doesn't want to come to the interview. If you talk to Stefan Hahn, please motivate him to do this video because he doesn't want to. He has so many projects, he doesn't have time. I
Yeah,
understand that.
I know
Yeah, yeah,
he's very busy. I know
yeah.
that. I
Okay.
know that. Yeah.
So coming back as a final, your project in Munich, how is it going? How content are you what you're doing? Is it euphoric? You're just over the moon what you do every day, or
Yeah.
is it hard work? Is it a lot of obstacles? How is the situation?
Look, of course, it's a bit embarrassing for me to answer that question because I am part of it. But I will anyway answer your question as far as I am concerned, and this is very much shared by all members of the project. We believe we've been doing well so far. I mean, everyone outside and inside Munich seems to be very happy with the project. Um, and we also love doing what we do and working as a team, working together. So almost every day there are discussions in the office between us, and because we work on different things, but in the end it's all the same thing, you know. Well, for example, our two senior scholars, one is a Latinist who works on the Almagest in Latin, together with or Arabist who works with on the Almagest in Arabic. So, you know, they work together on making the critical editions of those texts. And this is pretty much what we have been doing since the beginning. As far as I am concerned, I am super excited by the project, and I would like this project to never finish.
Okay.
If I could.
Okay, for the viewers, to remind them on this page, there's a lot of information here as background for what we were talking about. Last question, private life, is it hard for long distance marriage?
Well, this is not really part of the. Well, look, we no, it's not always easy. But we do commute between Sydney and Munich. So
Yeah.
I spent like maybe 4 months, 4 months and a half per year in Sydney,
Oh,
and
good.
Sonia comes twice a year to Munich as well.
Okay.
So all in all, we are not together all the time, but it depends. Like in COVID, we were together all the time for 2 years and 2 months. At
Well,
some point, we
one
moved
could
to
have
London.
one could have the opinion, considering the divorce rate in all countries, your model might be a good model to keep the marriage alive.
Look, okay, this is for another interview, which I would be happy to do with you. But yes, maybe yes.
Okay, like always, did I miss to ask something which you would like to talk about?
I don't know. I can't tell. No, I would say no, but we understand that there is material for many other interviews,
Yes, sure, sure. But
yeah.
you are content with what we did today.
Yeah, that was very nice.
Okay,
It was nice to talk to you. I mean, it was a good atmosphere
okay.
and respectful, and I liked it. Yeah.
Okay, so we thank Dr. David Just in Munich for taking the time to do this, and I thank the viewers for watching this video in case they did watch it to the end. Danke fürs Vorbeischauen, and I stop the recording.